The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Morning, everybody. Yes. Good morning. It is Friday, July 25th, and today is National Get Gnarly Day.
Yeah,
right?
big old burl of wood.
Mm-hmm.
All gnarly.
Yes. It's also National Wine and Cheese Day, Jenny Beth.
I'll be celebrating in the traditional manner.
Mm-hmm. It's also National Hire a Veteran Day today, you guys.
Love that one.
Yeah. Not mad at that. Not mad at that at all.
Unless you're Glass House.
Oh,
and
man.
hire some kids.
Oh, man. Shots fired. It's also, let's see. It's also National Hot Fudge Sundae Day today.
I'm not a big chocolate girly.
No?
No.
How about National Merry-Go-Round Day?
Great one of those here, right here. Can.
All right, sweet. Just so you know, I see it on X now. So thank you guys. It's also National Talk in an Elevator Day.
What?
No, don't fucking talk to me in the No.
You don't want to talk to people in the elevator?
No.
Interesting.
No person that I'm inconveniently stuck in this small space with for whatever amount of time it takes me to get to whatever floor the button dings and lets me out of this situation. No, that's a hostage situation. Leave me alone.
That's a hostage situation. Stop it. Where are you going to go?
It is. It totally is. If you're stuck in an elevator with someone and they start talking to you, you can't get out. There's no way out of it.
You guys are funny. You know, maybe it's
like, leave me alone. And also, I'm a girl. Fuck off. Out of my face. The best was when Jason...
Girl, it's definitely a hostage situation.
Yeah, Jason, in the old building, coming back from the pool and the hot tub and stuff, it was just like, not this many floors with you sitting here talking to me and I'm in a bathing suit. And then the one time I got stuck in the elevator with the dickhead that I was in a lawsuit against and his little dog too. Fuck all that. You know what? I'll take the stairs.
Gwen agrees with you.
And
I'll take the stairs.
And his little dog too.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are funny. Really funny.
And you know who I'm talking about.
Maybe I do. I'm sure probably, you'll remind me, but, no.
It was during the pineapple suit.
I mean, still doesn't, I don't.
Keep it rolling.
Keep it moving.
I don't remember. I don't remember any of that. I barely remember what happened yesterday, Jenny Beth. It is also System Administrator Appreciation Day today.
Yeah, we really do need to figure out
what's that, Jesse? You're cutting out.
We really do need to figure out where you're pulling from.
Where I'm pulling these days from?
Yeah.
Yeah, because yesterday you missed Tequila Day.
It wasn't in the thing, so wasn't
Right,
really
which
a
is
thing.
why we need to vet your sources.
Actually, I think I did say Tequila Day yesterday. Actually,
Well, it's celebrated, so there's that.
hold on, I'm gonna go and check.
Yeah, I went to dinner with a friend last night at
Yeah, I did at the end. That was the last thing that I said. National Tequila Day yesterday.
Okay, well, I did celebrate. Went to Red Oak for dinner with a friend last night.
Nice, rich.
Had a little margarita.
Well, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.high9news.com. So thank you to everyone joining us from any other platform you are joining us from. And we are kicking it off with none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis and of Justice Served, a 501c3 that helps justice-impaired individuals get their lives back on track after they've been victims of the track. It is none other America's sweetheart, and it's Friday, Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
And it's Friday. Happy Friday. I put on a dress. Look, Jason, I tried today.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I love when you try.
Yeah, whatever. I don't have to try that hard. God, my mama did a good job. So, a major shift could be coming to the cannabis rescheduling process, but let's be real, because no, it's not. Because now it's going to be fully in the hands of the DEA, who is going to kill it, which we want. Yes, deschedule, not reschedule. All right. Just as the key official overseeing it prepares to step down, administrative law judge Teresa A. Walbaum, who was appointed by the DEA to preside over the agency's public hearings on cannabis rescheduling, is set to retire at the end of the year. This development could delay or even complicate the hearing process further, which has already been closely watched by advocates and industry stakeholders alike. Walbaum has been tasked with overseeing the rare public hearing tied to the Department of Health and Human Services recommendation to move cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substances Act. While the DEA hasn't confirmed a decision timeline, this hearing is a critical step in that process, and her retirement may leave a vacuum in leadership right where the momentum is building. The cannabis industry is watching closely to see whether the DEA will accelerate its decision, appoint a replacement, sidestep the hearing process altogether. I'm going to go with C. They're not going to do no hearing. Quit playing with us. For now, Judge Walbaum's exit adds yet another layer of uncertainty to one of the most pivotal regulatory decisions in cannabis history. So I don't think that anything is coincidence. I don't believe in chance. But I do believe that this decision to retire right now is very, very interesting timing. And because I don't believe in coincidence, I don't believe we'll be having any hearings. So I don't know what project Sam slipped her or who tossed her some money, because as they continue to go through this hearing process, we are finding more and more issues with how the DEA was conducting itself, and more issues with the selection of witnesses, and more issues with Kevin Sabet just sitting down for tea where everybody that he should not be privately. And the quickest way to make those go away, the judge retires and now we don't have a hearing to discuss it. So maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think so, because I understand the U.S. government and how fucked up we are. So I'll throw it back to you guys. What do you think?
Maybe you're a conspiracy theorist, or maybe you're just observant.
Is it paranoia if she's right?
This will be like safe baking. It's just as much ado about nothing. We'll talk about it and nothing will ever happen.
I mean,
I can't wait to see Jason Beck's head explode when we get safe banking and none of the banks will bank with us still. Still don't have to.
Such a hater.
They're like, cool, we'll take the porn guys instead.
Oh, man, Dr. T, what do you have to say about this? This judge, this judge is obviously stepping down. That was hearing the initial hearings on Schedule 3. What are your initial thoughts on this?
Well, it's likely to be a very contentious debate, and even though the judge, a good judge, wants to sit over contentious debates, I think it was just too hot. He ran screaming and said, next.
Really?
The next person's going to, I think this is going to be a battle. And the judge who oversees it is going to have incredible influence from many sides.
You think that this judge actually retired just because of this case?
I think maybe he was thinking of retiring, and this case is around, and he's like, maybe this is a good time to retire.
Interesting.
I think many professionals do that, especially professionals who are used to following the rules and working within the system. They have a hard time when the system is changing.
It's just like when Epstein saw that 1 minute, of camera going to be off. He's like, now is a good time to hang myself.
Stop it. Epstein did not hang himself. You know that. That is crazy.
You didn't get my. You understand I was being facetious. I feel like we must pause and explain that right now, just to make sure that we're on the same page here.
Okay, all right, fair enough. You want to, what I'm saying, justify yourself. It's fine. This is the thing. I don't think for a second that he's retiring just because of this case. I think that's given, cannabis way too much credit as far as political strength in the space. You know what I mean? I'm not buying that. I think he may have already planned on possibly retiring, or there's other outlying factors around his retirement. I don't think that someone all of a sudden came up and was like, "Hey, you're handling this case. You better retire." I'm not buying that, and I don't think that he, I'm taking this case. It's a tough case, and maybe it's better if I just don't pass a judgment. I should just retire. I don't think he's an ideologue in that space either.
I don't think that you've been listening, or your ears are sexist, because the judge is Teresa A. Wallabaum.
The judge is an actual guy. Okay, I've been watching. I was actually watched the hearings, and so your article is wrong in somehow, some way, or whatnot. But the judge that was sitting down and presiding over the whole case is a dude, and there's even a picture in the article of a dude. So
there's a picture of a dude. Is his name Teresa?
Maybe, but it's not a she.
Oh, well, the article is wrong.
It's really
Jay
bad
Maroney.
it's really bad for you to be misgendering people, Jenny Beth.
Yeah, it's really bad. I think that, listen, I don't think cannabis has that much political capital either. If we did, we'd already have a federal legalization policy that made sense, right? But what I do think is that, hey, if I'm like, I've been doing this a long time, it might be time to go home, pack it up, whatever. And I apologize, I was incorrect when I surmised the article. It is a man, his name is John.
There we go.
So anyway, well, it's okay. I'd like to correct things instead of doubling down on falsehoods. Let's take a page out of Jenny Beth's book.
I'm glad you can correct things.
But what I do think is, if I'm getting ready to, send it on up the road anyway, and somebody's like, hey, come on, like, this is getting fucked up. Also, the DEA appointed this judge over this hearing, right? This was a DEA appointment over a hearing that's not going so fucking good for the DEA, because they've admittedly been caught every time they tried to play inside baseball, every time they sat at a table with Kevin Sabet, every time they've had inappropriate conversations, right? And I do believe that the powers that be that don't want this to happen might be willing, and obviously they lobby a lot harder than we do and throw a lot more money at politicians and whatnot, or we would have passed something through, as opposed to everything that's prohibition is passing through. Maybe they threw some money at this guy and were like, hey, how about Mykonos?
Exactly.
Mykonos on a Monday makes people do a lot of things, Jason.
Is that how that works?
I would do terrible things to spend Mondays in Mykonos.
Look at that, you guys. Look at that. Jenny will do terrible things to spend Mondays
Not terrible,
in Mykonos.
But,
We've heard it all. You know what I'm saying? We've heard it all.
You guys don't realize the power of cannabis. I'm not talking the power of smoking weed in the corner. I'm talking about the medicinal uses of cannabis. It's incredibly disruptive.
I agree with that.
Industrial complex.
Oh,
and they're not happy. They're just realizing, and they're not happy that their money is being disrupted.
Yeah, it doesn't take shit for Pfizer to give this guy a check big enough to make him go somewhere.
See, now
that's right.
Something like that. Now I can see something like that happen. That could make sense.
The Drug Enforcement Agency relies on the pharmaceutical industry for information.
They do. That is true. In the chat, Chris Brady wants to know, Jenny Beth, what would Jenny do for a Klondike bar?
Absolutely nothing. I'm not a chocolate girl.
Not even when it's on ice cream?
But in the inside, it's all vanilla.
Great.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, on that, we're going to roll into our first commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Test it. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Yes, and we are back, you guys. And I'm gonna roll into my first story, you guys, because I think Dr. T, I think you're gonna like this. I think this is super interesting. Because can cannabis impact aging, Dr. T? A study shows marijuana could alter genetic code, and research suggests that using cannabis may alter a person's epigenetic code. The research suggested that marijuana use can impact the genetic code responsible for activating and deactivating various genes. The study highlighted the importance of understanding marijuana's effects on the body, as it remains one of the most widely used drugs globally. While some effects are well known, the research indicated a broader impact than previously anticipated. Most notably, one maker identified in the study is similar to those found in tobacco use, suggesting a closer link between the two substances than previously thought. Researchers originally aimed to find out how cannabis use affects the epigenetic code, which in turn could reveal potential positive or negative health effects for humans who use the substance. They focused on genes related to aging, typically regulated by the body's epigenetic code, and understanding these changes could provide insights into the aging process and the body's epigenetic age. In our study, and a quote, this is a quote, in our study, we observed associations between cumulative marijuana use and multiple epidemic makers across time, said Lifang Hao, who was the senior author of the study. And in a quote, she says, interestingly, we consistently identified one marker that has previously been associated with tobacco use, suggesting a potential shared epigenetic regulation between tobacco and marijuana use. The observed marijuana markers were also associated with cell proliferation, infection, and psychiatric disorders, and however, additional studies are needed to replicate and verify these findings, they say. Well, I guess that's the cause for paranoia. But nonetheless, the study involved data from participants who reported their cannabis use over several years, and researchers analyzed blood samples taken 5 years apart, comparing them based on factors such as continuous and recent cannabis use. The findings revealed several makers associated with both types of use, and despite these insights, researchers emphasized the need for further studies to fully comprehend the connections and their extent with the epigenetic code. In a quote, they say, this research has provided novel insights into the association between marijuana use and epigenetic factors, and Dr. Drew Nanini said, additional studies are needed to determine whether these associations are consistently observed in different populations. Moreover, studies examining the effect of marijuana on age-related health outcomes may provide further insight into the long-term effect of marijuana on health. But nonetheless, the research offers new perspectives on the relationship between marijuana use and epigenetic factors, you guys. Well, what do you have to say, Dr. T? I think cannabis makes you young and makes you stay younger, and maybe, but only if you have the right genes. But I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this.
I would love to look at a population of cannabis users and cannabis naive or non-cannabis users to see what the differences are in life expectancy and other chronic diseases. This is all interesting. Once we discovered what the genetic code was useful for, we also discovered what it was not useful for, or where factors were affecting it that were outside of the code, and that's what the epigenetic factors are. They are outside of the code, influencing the code. So if anyone does construction, they know there's a big difference between the blueprint and what the blueprint makes, and along the way, things may change.
Yeah.
So this is really interesting stuff. Love it.
This is, I agree with you, Dr. T. I think it's pretty fascinating, without a doubt. Jenny Beth, what do you think about this? They're saying that cannabis could keep you young.
I mean, yeah, cannabis, melanin, I'm winning. Like, see you never, old people.
Oh man,
I'm just a nice little cocktail of melanin, Diet Coke, NAD plus, and cannabis.
Interesting.
Dr. T, the NAD peptides, they do actually work. They are helpful.
I like the NAD. I don't like the Diet Coke, and I do think your general diet matters a lot.
Well, something's got to kill me, Dr. T. Let me have my little baby diet. I've switched to the little baby Diet Cokes. I don't drink quite as much.
Hey.
I will never argue against Diet Coke. Go for it if that's where you want to go. George Burns smoked cigars until he was 100, so
yeah,
I wouldn't stop him either.
Exactly.
Betty White said, like, vodka, cigarettes, and whatever else she said. Promiscuous sex, whatever the hell it was Betty White was doing.
And she was a great to not only for herself but to our whole society. So thanks, Betty.
Yeah, she was.
I feel like there's a little read between the lines thing here too, Dr. T. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the fact that it's saying that it alters your epigenetic code to help you live longer, wouldn't it also affect your children?
What you mean? No, epigenetic factors are how essentially the code is read. You have a code like a blueprint, which you pass on to your children. Although it's not, it's hybrid. It's you and your partner that pass it on to your children, the code. But then there's how is the code read? Those are the epigenetic factors.
No, it's not changing the actual code itself. It's changing the way the code.
It's like perceived or translated is what you're saying, right?
And some epigenetic factors are heritable, meaning that they are inherited too. How the code is read can be inherited too. But often, things like the environment can affect, and your offspring may be in a different environment. So those are the epigenetic factors, or maybe are not heritable.
Well, that's exactly what I'm wondering is wouldn't this be the way that adaptability and that kind of evolution actually works, right? Like our bodies and our genetic codes respond to environments, and then we adapt over time from generation to generation. And so cannabis use would also possibly do the same thing.
I think we have been evolving with cannabis and its genetic or epigenetic factors for thousands of years. I think it behaves the way it does because it's been interacting with us, and we behave the way we do because we've been interacting with cannabis.
Which would go to the whole thing that I like to repeat, which is we're probably as a worldwide global culture, cannabinoid deficient.
Maybe for the last few decades we have been, yeah.
Yeah, for like the last 100 years.
Wow.
Not me.
Not some of us, not us, but in general, the most of the globe.
Yeah, the general population overall.
And remember, cannabis is not just THC. There are 3 types of cannabis, right? So it's not just about the high; it's about interacting with the plant on all levels.
And don't forget about THCA, because it's THCA all day.
I think you just like that because of the rhyme.
It's pretty catchy.
This is how Jason picks his pieces of information that he carries with him, that when he listens to people talk, right? He picks the part that he can make a joke or say in a funny voice, and he keeps that one. And then when he finds another one, he sticks that one on the shelf and pulls something out. We've been friends for a very long time, Jason, and your patterns make it easier to understand you.
Just because I'm a great teacher and make things easy for people to remember, Jenny Beth, is not a fault.
I didn't take it however you want to take it.
I'm just letting you know. How
lace that shoe up and wear it, Cinderella.
Exactly. All day, every day. And speaking of that, we're going to roll right into Dr. Jean Talleyrand. He's the founder of the CESC and of Medican, where you can get your cannabis recommendations online all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Make sure you check him out and make sure you stay medical, because it is an important thing to do. It is none other than Dr. Jean Talleyrand.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that plug for staying medical.
Yes.
Definitely my perspective anyway. All right. Happy Friday, everyone. My headline today comes from Normal. Analysis: medical cannabis associated with reduced healthcare utilization in chronic pain patients. The sustained use of state-authorized medical cannabis products is associated with improved quality of life and reduced healthcare utilization among chronic pain patients. This is according to data published in the journal Pharmacy. Chronic pain affects approximately 20% of U.S. adults, translating to over 50 million individuals. Chronic opioid use has failed to safely address chronic pain due to addiction, overdose, and death. Chronic pain is especially burdensome among older adults, where it is often referred to as a silent epidemic because of its substantial link to poorer health, increased disability, and higher healthcare utilization. Cannabis is proposed as a complementary alternative solution, yet its impact on healthcare utilization remains unclear. Given the consistently high prevalence rates and the substantial individual and societal toll, chronic pain remains a critical public health issue in the U.S. Chronic pain imposes a significant burden on individuals and healthcare systems, generating substantial direct medical expenses and indirect societal burdens. Chronic pain patients are more likely to use emergency and urgent care services, driven in part by unmanaged or worsening pain and complicated by comorbidities such as mood or metabolic disorders. Moreover, older adults with chronic pain who rely on Medicare demonstrate similar patterns of elevated spending for hospitalizations and outpatient care. While many approaches to pain management show statistically significant benefits, clinically meaningful improvements are often modest or short-lived. For instance, acupuncture may outperform compared to no treatment groups for low back pain, but shows only a small advantage over sham acupuncture or therapeutic ultrasound, which both show minimal gains beyond placebo for chronic low back pain. Also, medical devices such as transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation, those are the TENS units, or pulse electromagnetic therapy may help some patients, but they lack robust long-term data to prove their benefit, especially regarding functional outcomes. Exercise-based therapies, mindfulness-based interventions, and acceptance and commitment therapy appear beneficial for quality of life and psychological distress, albeit with smaller or less consistent effects on pain intensity itself. Dry needling for fibromyalgia has likewise demonstrated short-term improvements in pain and associated symptoms, though the overall certainty of evidence remains moderate at best. Finally, emerging digital solutions for self-management and telemedicine show promise for expanding access and offering structural behavioral support, but more research is needed to pinpoint long-term effects and cost efficiency. So a team of researchers affiliated with medical cannabis telehealth company Leafwell and George Mason University, in the news this past week in Virginia, assessed healthcare utilization trends in chronic pain patients with and without prior medical cannabis experience. An estimated 1 in 3 pain patients residing in medical cannabis states report using cannabis as an analgesic agent. The investigators determined that patients who used medical cannabis products during the prior year reported fewer urgent care visits, fewer emergency department visits, and fewer unhealthy days per month than those with no prior cannabis use. The findings of this study suggest that medical cannabis is likely an effective treatment option for patients with chronic pain. The study's authors concluded, moreover, we found that in addition to an increase in quality of life, medical cannabis exposure is associated with lower risks of urgent care and ED visits when comparing patients who use medical cannabis for at least 1 year to cannabis-naive patients. This underscores the potential for not only quality of life gains associated with medical cannabis use, but also positive downstream effects on the healthcare system resulting from treatment. This analysis concluded that medical cannabis is not only beneficial to an individual, but also reduces costs in the healthcare system. Reduced costs means reduced revenue. That is disruptive. The idea that cannabis use disrupts the medical industrial complex is critical to understanding why there's pushback by some groups. A prior analysis by Leafwell researchers concluded that state-level access to medical cannabis is associated with significant reductions in healthcare premiums. If we follow the money on this notion, we will see non-traditional organizations are financially benefiting from the introduction of cannabis into the marketplace. In my opinion, the argument for recreational cannabis use is a distraction. The real power of cannabis is that it is changing our healthcare delivery system, which is not a small feat. What do you think? Do you use healthcare less because you use cannabis medicinally? This is Dr. Jean Talleyrand with High 9.
I love this story, Dr. T. I'm a big fan of this story. This is fantastic news coming out, and it's something that I've always believed that, you know what I mean, that is more of a preventative type of thing, and helps you to be able to deal with whatever you're dealing with more than it is an overall cure. And so this just kind of just doubles down on my philosophy with cannabis.
Yeah, I think the problem is hospitals are making less money, drug companies are making less money. Mm-hmm. Maybe it hasn't hit them quite yet, but I think it has a bit. They're noticing it. Yeah, I think they're not happy.
They can start to see the trend.
Well, the money's in the sickness, not the cure. And, fuck them. They've made plenty of money. I left Kaiser because I was told I got in trouble for not giving cannabis cessation counseling to a 75-year-old glaucoma patient with cancer. Sis, smoke that joint.
Well, when you're waking a sleeping bear, a sleeping giant, I think you got to get a little bit more strategic than fuck them, because they're coming after us. We got to protect ourselves, and we've got to learn to pivot away from their pushback.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my general overall thought pattern is still fuck them, but no, I completely agree, because look, they already bought off one of our judges.
Oh, there you go. Man, that's there we go. Allegedly. Jesse, what do you think about this, Jesse?
I love this. Cannabis is wellness, and I love what you said, Dr. T, and I wholeheartedly agree that all cannabis is medical use.
Mm-hmm.
Or also said, I think you would agree with this too, that it's wellness, healthcare, it's true healthcare. It's not it's not sick care necessarily. It's proactive. It's preemptive. We read studies after studies after studies. I have one pulled up. My story is going to be in a similar vein of how cannabis just helps people deal with life.
Yeah, I mean, the opposition says that we're partying with cannabis, and partying is sort of a vice, and that's really their argument against us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of us say, hell yeah, we're partying, and we can party if we want to, which is an interesting response.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think this is I love this story. you know, and shout out to cannabis, you know what I mean? That's helping people to be able to gain more control in dealing with their situation. And this is really, really, really good news. And on that, and on this, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back. Oh, yes, and we're back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. And all of the articles that we covered on today's show, you can find directly on our website at www.highat9news.com just shortly after the show. And also, too, make sure that you check out our sponsors in the description of this video, and make sure you use the link to order yourself a case of Liberal Tears. It's 250 milligrams of caffeine in every can and 0 grams of sugar, and Dr. T would even approve of that.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Oh, yes, and we are back, you guys.
Oh, coming up next, you guys, from the Pacific Northwest, the Ginger Goblin, Gwen Barney's husband, Nick Bradley's favorite role model, and the founder of Barney Design Co., Jesse Barney.
All right. I hopefully turned off anything that would be causing me to cut out. I shouldn't be cutting out.
You're still a little low,
audio.
but you are steady at least.
I'm low?
Yeah, you're still low, but you're
curious why it would change. How about now? Turn this all the way up.
Yeah, turn all the way
now?
Turned up. No.
Am I louder now?
You're pretty much the same. It's all right. Steve in the chat says you're good though.
I am good now.
Yeah.
Let me see what's going on. Oh, I am low.
There we go. See?
There we go.
Way better
Why
now,
was
Jesse.
My audio is so down.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Turned down for what, Jesse?
I may be a goblin, or there may be a goblin in my system. Who knows?
Yes.
Well, as usual, I love our medical science Fridays. I wish Dr. Mark was here, but Dr. T, you are going to love this article, I believe. It's out of the Science Daily, and it says, people with eating disorders say cannabis and psychedelics help more than antidepressants. The summary is a massive global survey has revealed that people with eating disorders often turn to cannabis and psychedelics like magic mushrooms and LSD to ease their symptoms, rating them more effective than traditional medications. Surprisingly, common prescriptions like antidepressants were seen as helpful for overall mental health, but fell short for eating disorder relief. A pioneering international survey of people living with eating disorders has found that cannabis and psychedelics such as magic mushrooms or LSD were best rated as alleviating symptoms by respondents who self-medicated with the non-prescribed drugs. The worst rated drugs were alcohol, tobacco, nicotine, and cocaine. Prescribed drugs, such as antidepressants, were generally not well rated for treating eating disorder symptoms, but were positively rated for effects on general mental health. The research, led by PhD student Sarah Catherine Rodan at the University of Sydney's Lambert Initiative for Cannabinoid Therapeutics, is published on July 22nd in JAMA Network Open. Ms. Rodan said, "Our results provide important insights into the lived experiences of people with eating disorders and their drug use, highlighting promising avenues for future research into treatments. The findings suggest more research, including large clinical trials, should be undertaken around the beneficial effects of cannabis and psychedelics for people with eating disorders." The Lambert Initiative researchers will shortly launch a clinical trial of psilocybin in treating anorexia nervosa in collaboration with the Inside Out Institute at the University of Sydney. The study analyzed responses from over 7,600 self-allocated participants in 83 countries. And I think that is what makes this study very important. It's clearly just a survey that they put out. This is not a clinical trial of any kind. This is definitely a survey, but the fact that it's so large and in so many countries and they got such a general direction of the way that people responded, I think is really amazing. The research focused on how people with different types of eating disorders use prescription and non-prescription drugs and how they perceive these substances' effects on their mental health and eating disorder symptoms. The major categories of eating disorders were well represented in the survey: anorexia nervosa, 40%, bulimia nervosa, 19%, binge eating disorder, 11%, and avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, 9%. About 1/3 of respondents were not formally diagnosed with an eating disorder, but self-reported an eating disorder that caused distress. Comorbid mental health conditions, which are often found in these populations, were frequently reported, including depression, generalized anxiety disorder, ADHD, drug dependence, and alcohol dependence. Respondents were predominantly female, with most from English-speaking places like Australia, the UK, and the US. The results revealed patients with eating disorders have high rates of cannabis and psychedelic use relative to the general populations and rate their effects positively in terms of managing symptoms. This story goes on and on and on, so I'll cut it off there. I think it's incredibly awesome and very revealing that these people who have eating disorders are clearly trying everything. They're clearly trying alcohol. They're trying cocaine. They're trying every single thing they can do to manage these symptoms. There's clearly other mental health disorders and comorbidities that are happening. And they are self-reporting that cannabis and psychedelics are helping them manage the symptoms of these diseases and probably even sometimes stop or in this case, start eating. We need studies. And it's cool that things like this come out because this is the beginning. This is what stirs up scientists and doctors to actually do the studies that are going to either prove or disprove this anecdotal evidence from this survey. But I'm excited to hear, especially what Dr. T has to say.
Yeah, there are studies. That's it depends on what you're expecting from them. Most of the psychedelics, for example, are 5-HT2A agonists, meaning that they hit a receptor, the 5-HT2A. This is what LSD hits. This is what psilocin hits. And possibly other receptors. So to me, this brings up the idea of using natural medicine versus pharmaceutical medicine. Right now, they have synthetic pharmaceuticals that are 5-HT2A agonists, just like the psilocin. So if you go into a doctor, they might say, don't take the mushroom, don't take the acid that you bought from your neighbor. Here, I can prescribe you a synthetic 5-HT2A agonist. Or there's 5-HT1A agonists which are things like buspirone, really widely prescribed for anxiety. So they're out there. The question really is, are we going to choose the pharmaceutical approach, or are we going to choose the plant fungus approach to this? And I think you'll have most doctors wanting the consistency of the pharmaceutical approach. But it sounds like the people are voting the opposite way.
The people are saying, fuck them, Dr. Talleyrand.
Yeah, Dr. T, it sounds like a lot of these people are self-medicating, which is clearly a problem for people with these mental disorders and eating disorders, is that they end up self-medicating with a variety of things. And now you have this fight, right, between the doctors and the patients, and the patients are self-medicating and the doctors aren't willing to work with them. What do you think is the best approach for all of us to help change the culture of doctors and their willingness to work with patients to use plant medicines of various kinds, or even try them and study them in a doctor-patient relationship?
Well, I think the biggest force for change in our kind of society is capital. That's what we run on. That's our fuel. And so I think, voting with your dollar, right now, our grandparents and our parents are used to purchasing health insurance and going to the doctor for their needs, and they support the healthcare industry. But as time passes, that might shift, where people are looking to alternative providers and alternative sources for their healthcare, and voting that way rather than, like what I was reporting, rather than, going to the emergency department and getting the doctor paid. Now you're at home using cannabis.
So I believe what you're pointing at, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there is an incentive system where pharmaceutical companies are allowed to bonus doctors for selling their products to quotas of their patients, correct?
Kind of. They tried to stop that. It's really...
but we don't have anything like that on the other side, on the plant medicine side. There's no way for us to incentivize doctors to actually look into this.
Right. Well, it's a huge paradigm shift that doctors are taught medical school, right? And medical schools are not really teaching the endocannabinoid system. They'd have to teach plant-based medicine. They have to approach the whole thing holistically. It's a huge paradigm shift that, we're working toward, but we're far from shifting the thought process of the whole.
So is there anything that you would say a patient could do to empower themselves in their conversation with their doctor, with their primary care physician, to help them educate their doctor, or at least get them to try things with them?
Yeah, I think, be honest, be open. So you might have a doctor that's alternative minded and be willing to work with you. If not, shift, find one that is. Doctor. Yeah. And eventually demand will influence supply.
Is there some sort of website that aggregates doctors who are more holistic and more... Is there somewhere that you can look and say, these are the doctors in my area that fit the bill?
Yeah, I mean, there are several schools of thought. There's integrative medicine, started by Andrew Weil. He started a school out in Arizona. And there are many graduates, people who are willing to integrate alternative approaches into the traditional approach. So look for an integrative care physician, as well as, specifically for cannabis, there's the Society of Cannabis Clinicians. You can look toward them, and they're trying to really shift doctors to paying attention more to the endocannabinoid system.
So, Dr. T, I asked this in the chat. I'm curious, what actually qualifies or is the definition of an eating disorder?
Well, there are several types of eating disorder. What's the
what's the general? Yeah, what's the general overall things that define an eating disorder? because the C word in the chat, he said that that anything that any dietary practices that do not nourish the body properly. So I would go. So if that is, if you agree with that.
No, it's less of a wellness idea and more of a illness idea. So it's looking more at the damages, just like cannabis use disorder, you're supposed to have something disrupt your life, make it negative, distress your life.
Are you talking about the condition that doesn't really exist that people say exists?
No, there are many people who are anorexic to the point of death.
Okay, all right, I can accept that.
Yeah,
I can accept that.
So there's a lot of illness, on either side. There are people who obsess over eating. Mm-hmm. There are people, who have obesity. So there are a range of eating disorders that basically are negative out.
Interesting. He just threw in a super chat too, the C word. It says, don't make those of us who go to the doctor deal with alternative medicine nonsense. He's funny. He's trolling today. Yeah.
Go to your doctor. If you trust in your doctor, go to your doctor. Take the pills that they're offering. If you trust in those pills, take those pills. Hey, my goal is to empower you to make the right choice for you.
Fair enough.
But I think the right choice for a lot of people is cannabis.
Yeah. So, Dr. T, on this whole eating use disorder, based off of let's just assume that his
Jason wants to make a joke saying all stoners have an eating disorder because they go to get stoned and go to In-N-Out and Jack in the Box and shit like that. But Jason, it would be the binge, then the purge. But there's no purge after that.
There is a purge.
And what's the distress? How are they harming their body? We find that most people who use cannabis, don't have obesity, so we're not seeing that negative consequences from that late night run.
Well, some people just have higher metabolisms, Dr. T, and other people
Jason just wants to make his joke. That's why I crushed it real quick, and I love Dr. T so much because he's actually going to give you a serious answer, Jason.
I wanted a serious answer, Jenny Beth.
Both are important in this life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. T, my understanding is that in general, studies have proven time and time again that quote unquote stoners are more fit than the general population and have better diets, regardless of the stereotype that weed gives you the munchies. What's actually happening is that the cannabinoids and the terpenes are helping you regulate your appetite. So if you need to eat more, you will. And if you need to eat less, you'll actually be less hungry.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I agree. It slows the contractual waves in your gut too. So it's not really, stimulating your metabolism. It's some sort of slowing the pace down a bit in some ways.
Well, couldn't you just give them a pacemaker for that?
That's for the heart.
All right. Well, it's setting the pace. It's setting the pace, Dr.
Good
T.
Question,
that's all.
Good question. Questions are good.
Oh, man. And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh, man. Your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, I left one, But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade. And in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to.
Well,
it's a beautiful day to have a beautiful day, Jason.
That was interesting, you guys. Well, we are back, apparently. We are back.
Welcome back.
Dr. T is still with us?
Beautiful day. And
did Dr. T drop?
Dr. T, are you leaving?
Oh, there he is. He's back. He's back. Here we go. There we go. All right, we got him back. All right. Sometimes
all right, coming up
Mr.
to round
Houdini.
out the show today on this wonderful Friday, the High at 9 head honcho, the biggest pain in my caboose, Jason Beck.
Coming to bring the pain. Yes.
Not to my caboose.
Mm-hmm. Well, You guys, a coalition of more than 30 attorney generals is urging Congress to pass, that's right, Safer Banking Act, you guys, that's right. Legislation that would provide legal protections for banks servicing state-licensed marijuana businesses, you guys. Led by Maryland Attorney General Brown, the bipartisan group submitted a letter to congressional leaders highlighting the urgent need to reform federal banking laws. They argue that current restrictions force marijuana businesses to operate most entirely in cash and putting workers and customers at greater risk of violent crime while hindering oversight and tax collection. In a quote, they say, when the public is only allowed to conduct business in cash, employees and customers are at greater risk of violent crime in pursuit of that cash, the letter states. Allowing access to the nation's regulated banking system is critical to public safety and to ensuring that lawful business in our states have access to regulated banking services. This cash-based model endangers public safety and undermines the regulatory framework that states have worked hard to implement. According to the coalition, legal marijuana sales in the U.S. hit $30.1 billion in 2024, supporting roughly 425,000 jobs nationwide. Sales are projected to reach $34 billion by the end of this year, and despite this growth, cannabis-related businesses and even some state agencies have struggled to access banking services due to federal laws. The attorneys generals note that numerous state agencies have been turned away by the very financial institutions they typically rely on, simply for attempting to deposit tax payments tied to marijuana licensing. Currently, 39 states and several territories allow medical marijuana, and 24 states have legalized adult use, and nearly 3/4 of Americans live in a jurisdiction where marijuana is legal in some form or another. The Attorney Generals emphasized that Safer Banking Act wouldn't legalize marijuana or require any state to change its laws. Instead, it would provide a narrow safe harbor for financial institutions to work with businesses in states that have enacted robust marijuana regulations. In a quote, they say, the Safer Banking Act simply addresses the specific public policy challenges facing states in light of federal prohibition on banking cannabis-related funds, the letter adds. And supporters say the bill would strengthen transparency, simplify tax enforcement, and allow regulators to better monitor the flow of cannabis-related funds, improving public safety while respecting state sovereignty. In a quote, an effective safe harbor would bring billions of dollars into the banking sector, enabling law enforcement, federal, state, and local tax agencies and cannabis regulators to more effectively monitor cannabis businesses and their transactions, the Attorney Generals wrote. And joining Attorney General Brown in filing the letter are Attorney Generals from Ohio, Georgia, the District of Columbia, Alaska, American Samoa, Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Northern Mariana Islands. I didn't even know they had weed there. Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Dakota, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Utah, Vermont, Washington, and West Virginia, you guys. Well, that is a whole hobnob of different territories and states and whatnot, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Pass safe banking already.
Oh, how long have we been talking about safe banking?
For a long time.
I'm
glad the
like
AGs
10
have
years.
joined in.
Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you, I think safe banking is going to get across the finish line. From what I'm hearing from people in DC, that's how it's looking to me.
Jason, well, I mean, okay, I hope that that's the case, but this is beyond a joke at this point.
Literally.
Safe banking has been an absolute nightmare in all of our worlds. I mean, we keep talking about it year after year after year after.
Well, we had to get a president in there that would actually sign it. You know, and if you remember, well, hold on, Jesse. During Trump's first term, he called for it. He said, you guys get it to my desk and I'll sign it. He said that. He signaled for it during his first term when he was 45.
Yeah, all right, Jason. Well, let's just cross our fingers and our little toesies and hope sosies.
Well, looking at how the House and the Senate has been acting in the last 6 months, I don't buy it. I don't think it's going to make it.
I think the biggest blockage to safe banking would probably be in the House through Speaker Mike Johnson. I would think that would probably be the biggest blockage. But I think it's posed to get through the Senate. If it gets through the Senate, I'm sure that we can rally enough support and do a little bit of horse trading to get it put up for the House.
This is one of those things I will believe it when it's actually done.
Okay.
The pattern that we've been through in the last 10 years on both sides of the aisle, it's a dog and pony show.
Mm-hmm.
It's BS. They do it to get us riled up. They talk about it to get us on their side, and then they never actually do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So the cannabis community at this point needs to call a spade and say, hey, nobody supports us. Even though they say they do.
Mm-hmm.
So until there's actual action and these things actually get passed, I don't believe in 1 cent of it.
Mm-hmm.
As many of the people in the comments are saying, yes, actions speak louder than words. And
100%.
we're 10 years into a lot of words.
All
and
right.
at this point, I don't see the political community doing anything that they haven't already done. Now,
Well, the question is it's a bipartisan
Yes.
idea. The question is, will everyone be friendly enough with each other to vote for the same bill?
Mhm.
I think there's
Yep.
Dr. T, I think there's big things at play. I think as we've sort of hinted at, and if you read between the lines, you have big pharma, you have timber, you have oil, you have so many industries that don't want cannabis to succeed. And those industries are deeply embedded in our country, and they have far larger lobbying dollars than we have. We barely lobby at all. What do we have, like 3 people in the entire cannabis industry in Washington, D.C. actively trying to speak to people?
No, I think we have more than that. We have more than 3.
Who?
I can't list all of their names, but
I only see publicly 3.
I
see 3 people consistently speaking and consistently being in Washington, D.C. and saying that they're there.
Well, I know that there's way more than 3 in relation on this
4
topic.
if you include Matt Gaetz in that.
I wasn't even including Matt in my calculations. I'm talking about people
I haven't
that
seen him. I've only seen 3.
I'm talking about people that I actually know that live in DC that work on these issues. Yes, I know of more than 3
On a daily basis.
on a
are they
daily
working
basis.
on?
Yep.
Well, they should be more public about who they are and what they're doing, because none of the rest of us can see them or know about who they are.
Well, maybe they're not supposed to be known about, Jesse, because that's one of the ways they're able to
Then
be
we
more
can't
effective.
support them. That's silly. You have to have the cannabis community and the cannabis industry's support. You can't just do things in the dark and think that, where's the money going to come from? How do we support you if you don't know who you are?
Oh.
That's just like silly. That's not how anything works. And when you have all of big pharma and big oil and big timber and every other industry that's behind keeping cannabis down, operating as a lone wolf behind closed doors in secret is not going to do that.
Well,
It's not going to help.
I mean, well, I'm just going to say this, Jesse. I know of some companies that do fund for some of these individuals on an individual type of basis and whatnot. So, that's how they're getting that funding is individual companies, but not any actual organizations.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but
hey,
this is a holistic thing. I mean, you're talking about there's PR involved, there's marketing involved, there's politics involved, there's lobbying involved. And when you're one person who's getting funding from some organization, and this is all clandestine and nobody knows what it is, it doesn't help the actual industry. That's my point. It's like, okay, you're helping. How do we know?
Fair enough. You know what? Something that could, or do you have any thoughts on this, Dr. T? Before we move on?
No, I think he said it
Okay.
all.
All right. Well, I promised a happy story at the end. And Jesse, this may just be the answer that you have just been asking for coming up. Are you ready? Because President Donald J. Trump endorses Joe Gruters for the RNC chair, and he has backed medical marijuana and open to adult use legalization, you guys. That's right. President Donald J. Trump has thrown his support behind Florida State Senator Joe Gruters to lead the Republican National Committee, a move that could mark a historical shift for the party on marijuana policy. In a statement posted on Truth Social, Trump praised Gruters as someone who will do a wonderful job as the chairman of the RNC, adding, "He will have my complete and total endorsement." During his time in the Florida legislature, Gruters has consistently supported expanding access to medical marijuana, and in 2020, he filed legislation SB 1860 that would have protected public employees in Florida from being fired or disciplined solely for using medical marijuana in compliance with state law. He also supported efforts to streamline regulations for Florida's medical marijuana program and has publicly acknowledged the need for the Republican Party to modernize its stance on the issue. In a 2019 interview, Gruters said in a quote, "I think we should be looking at all the options," when asked about adult use legalization. While he has not sponsored a adult use marijuana bill, his openness to reform and repeated defense of medical marijuana patients places him well outside the traditional anti-legalization platform historically associated with the GOP leadership. Gruters' support for cannabis reform reflects shifting attitudes among Republican voters, and particularly younger conservatives and veterans, many of whom back access to both medical and adult use marijuana. And his evaluation, or his elevation to RNC chair, would mark a notable break from the party's long-standing opposition to legalization and could embolden other Republican lawmakers to take a more progressive stance on marijuana policy. Gruters, a longtime ally of former president and chair of the Trump's 2016 Florida campaign, previously served as chair of the Republican Party of Florida, and if chosen to lead the RNC, he would be the most pro-cannabis chair ever, you guys. Look at that. This is a great story right here. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
It might be great. Go ahead.
It's really
Dr.
hard
T.
to tell, where he's going. I mean, he puts in people like the new DEA guy who is anti-cannabis, and then puts in this guy who's pro-cannabis. It almost seems like cannabis is not really on his mind. He's putting them in for other reasons.
Well, yeah, I agree with that, but at the same time, I don't think cannabis should be the number one issue of why he's putting people in different positions. I don't think cannabis is that important on a national level, and all polling data points to that too, as far as what the American public believes as the most important issues. Cannabis does not rate up there in that top 10, even though it has so much overall support amongst Americans. But I think this is fantastic because the reality is the chair is going to set the platform for the party, and having this type of leadership in there is exactly what the Republicans need to shift perception and shift from the prohibitionist mindset into the regulate mindset. And I think this is going to be a good fresh new breath in the RNC, and I'm excited to reach out to him and talk with him possibly in relation with all of this.
So Mr. Gruters did some stuff in Florida, or he attempted to file a bill and then he withdrew it for some mysterious reason. So he's flip-flopped.
That's not flip-flopping.
Well, promoting a bill that would be good for cannabis and then withdrawing it is
well,
totally
maybe he needed to make some revisions on it, Jesse.
He withdrew it. He didn't revise it and then put it back through. He just withdrew it. Which, to me, says there's some kind of again, this is kind of the story that we've been talking about. You have big pharma and you have all these industries who are against it. All it takes is the right amount of money or the right kind of threat to come your way, and it seems like he's flipped. So I don't know. Again, prove it. Actions speak louder than words. Let's see some motion. Let's see some activity. I mean, I think of all these stories that are maybe good, where it's safe banking or it's this Joe Gruters guy, what I really want to see is Donald Trump actually make a statement on cannabis. and then an executive order would be even better.
That's not, he can't do it with an executive order. That's not how it works.
I'm not saying he needs to legalize cannabis with an executive order, but he could force motion in these areas with an executive order, and he could force things to happen. And maybe not legalization, maybe not descheduling, but he could force them to look at descheduling. And I want to see some things like that happen. That would be the best case scenario. Some real forcible action. Otherwise, a lot of this, it's smoke and mirrors. It's a dog and pony show. It's trying to get our attention and trying to get our support. But what I see, especially from the safe banking side, and this looks like more of the same, you're just trying to get our support, but you're not actually going to do anything.
Interesting. Naysayers. Interesting.
Look, Jason,
It's all good. It's all good.
We have
Just
a bad
tired.
attitude.
Just
because-
tired.
Yeah,
we're
I get
tired.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we've been through this. We've been beat up. We've been putting up with this for a long time, and we keep getting told that there's going to be motion. There's going to be motion. There's going to be motion. There's going to be motion, and then nothing ever happens. So at this point, what is it? What's the saying?
Well,
fool
just
me
this
once,
is
shame on me. Fool me, or shame on you. Fool me twice.
I think
like the fool me 1,000 times.
I think you're missing the point. The overall point of the story is the fact is that someone in this position has never been pro cannabis, and now we have someone that's at least open to it or semi pro cannabis in relation to, and so that is going to enhance dialogue. That's going to enhance all of these different policies and help some of these policies get farther down the road than they have in the past. So that would be considered progress on a government affairs level.
Yeah.
Here's a
again,
test, Jason. Ask yourself, if Biden did this, would you be saying good job?
First of all, Biden wouldn't do something like that. It would be someone controlling Biden, like Jill Biden, or you know what I'm saying, or his, you know. I'm just saying.
He's dodging the question.
I'm not dodging the question. I'm not dodging the question, but I'll say this: if someone was appointed who was pro cannabis in charge of the DNC, I would say that was a good thing. Also, yes, I would, 100%, without a doubt.
All right, good.
But we all know that Joe Biden doesn't do anything but eat ice cream and sleep. Just so you know,
he has been pro cannabis, at least in word. Okay, and so that is moderately
he did
a good
ask
thing.
the HHS to make a move, right? And they did make a move. They're the ones who said, reschedule.
I
don't know about all that, but I see what
if it influences the Republican Party at all. But this is where.
Well, I mean, this is the guy that sets the tone and sets the narrative and the talking points for the party platform. And so I think this is a big deal that he's on this. I think this is a big deal, and I think even more Republicans are going to come out from a libertarian standpoint on cannabis as far as being on the field, not necessarily going to be a big cheerleader about it, but aren't going to be on the field of let's harm it, let's not allow these things to happen and go through, and let's just regulate it and make sure that we keep our community safe. I think they're going to come more from that perspective, and this is going to make it easier for them.
I actually agree with you. It's probably a bigger deal than if Biden appointed somebody in the Democratic Party, because they've usually been pro cannabis in the Democratic Party, while the Republican Party hasn't historically been. So this is a bigger move.
It could be. I'm conceding it could be. I'm not sure that it absolutely will. This isn't like a guarantee, right? It's not a guarantee this guy becomes RNC chair and all of a sudden the voice of the Republican Party changes and the tone and changes. Maybe.
I don't know.
Let's see. Just like safe banking, prove it. Prove it.
Fair enough. I think that's fair criticism,
it.
Jesse. I think that's fair criticism overall to say something like that. You know what I mean? That makes, I can, actions do speak louder than words, but at the same time, this is an action as far as putting someone in that position and endorsing someone in that position that has already expressed these views and worked on these other different issues and been a pro cannabis ally trying to advance the cause. So he already has a track record of doing so. And so from that standpoint, this is great news.
It's a nod in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, would you rather have Jeff Sessions
Well, clearly not.
This is my point. This is the thing that kills me about cannabis people all the time. Is like all of a sudden we get someone that you know what I'm saying, has a track record and is good to go, and then everyone just wants to point out all the bad and shoot everything down, and then they're actually shooting themselves in the foot. The same thing happened with Matt Gaetz.
I don't think this guy's nearly as outspoken as Gates about.
I'm not saying that he is, but at the same time, it's the same situation. The naysaying and the attack and da. It's like
if this was Gates, bro, that's two different things. If this was Gates, I would be saying something completely different.
Okay.
If they were saying, "Oh, we're going to nominate Gates to be the RNC chair," I'd be like, "Okay,
here we go." Right?
Yeah, like that dude is definitely pro cannabis.
Well, maybe
would be outspoken, is outspoken on a continuous basis that there needs to be motion, and he does fight for us. But whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, it doesn't matter. You should like Matt Gaetz, and the people that speak ill against him and take BS that got thrown out in court and they try to bring it up
as reality. Yeah,
I heard Todd do that this last week. I'm like, dude, shut up, man. You're talking down about somebody that is on our side big time, and he literally has nothing against him. And the things that you're trying to bring up to discredit his personality and who he is were thrown out of court. So you're literally slandering him. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Jenny Beth, any thoughts on this?
Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday. Yes, happy Friday, everybody. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Aim High Hemp Distribution, Tested, and Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media Partners, Elias and Kai, somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.